If you're a freelancer looking to freelance, it's freelance time. That's right, it's Freelance here on Freelance, only on Adobe Live. All right, Nick. 1, 2, 3, shoot. Dang it. All right, you go.
Gotcha. Welcome to Adobe Office Hours. My name is Nick Lago, and with me is
Andrew Hockrattle. Thanks so much. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Adobe Office Hours. If you haven't watched us before, we are Adobe Live's favorite dumpster fire, and we hope you're here. We actually are streaming to 2 platforms today. So if you're watching us on YouTube, hi. And if you're watching us on
Express,
nope.
YouTube,
nope.
Behance.
There we go. Yep, that one.
You told me we had another one going. I thought it was there.
It's Behance. So Behance, say hi. And what we're going to do today to start off the show, just because I'm feeling chaotic, as you know, on this show here, Behance, you're going to go up against the YouTube audience. So if you're watching on YouTube, say hello, but also vote in our poll. So YouTube chat is going to choose rock, paper, or scissors. And then Behance chat, just comment rock, paper, or scissors. And we're going to put you against each other. Whoever wins, wins. You know what? Whoever wins the rights to the screenshot. So whoever wins the rights to the screenshot. We'll give it 30 seconds. All right, Nick, tell me about your week. What did you learn this week in creativity? And what is this show about? In general, what do we do? And what do we do today specifically?
We are here every single week giving you tips and tricks to help you guys up your creative level, helping you out with the different Adobe platforms and you name it, libraries, fonts, all the fun stuff. And today we're talking specifically about going freelance. It seems to be the hottest topic right now everywhere, and it's no better time to start talking about it. This week, true. I'd say, man, I told you earlier, we've been diving deep into Adobe Express in one of my intro to design classes, and the students are absolutely loving it. And we're incorporating AI fun stuff in there as well. So it's been a blast.
It's been a blast. And chat, if you're used to watching the show, we usually show you demos. We're usually showing you hands-on interactive. We're in there designing. We're having all kinds of fun. But Nick, today's going to be something a little bit different.
It's a little bit more of a podcast episode.
A little bit more of a podcast episode. Thanks so much for joining us here.
Pull up a comfortable chair and a hot cup of coffee.
And listen to Adobe Office Hours. So yes, we're doing kind of podcast episode today, and we're talking all about 2 things. We're talking all about freelancing, but specifically we are talking about how to make the pivot to freelance. And then once you are freelance, how to run the race of freelance. So we're going to have 2 separate sides. And Vandal is in the YouTube chat. What's up? And it looks like we'll give it like maybe another minute. If you're just joining us, if you're in the YouTube chat, 1, say hi. 2, vote in the poll because you are up against the Behance chat, who is over here. In the Behance chat, you're playing a game of rock, paper, scissors for the rights to the chat on the screen. So go cast your vote. Behance, I need you to vote as well. Just type in your guess in chat and also say hi if you're watching. All right.
Yeah.
So we are doing a little bit of a podcast episode today, which means we'd love it if you hang out live. But if you're watching the replay, go do dishes. Like, go clean your apartment, turn this on, like pull up the project that you should be working on to level up your freelance career, and don't watch our faces. Just go listen because we're going to give you a bunch of good information here. All right. So let's go ahead and hop in, Nick. I am ready and excited for this. Nick, how long have you been a freelancer?
You know, I don't like the word, but technically 11 years. Yeah.
Okay. Fair.
How about you?
I am coming up on, I believe, 6 years now.
Man.
Which is so fun. So seasoned vet here. And Savan, hello, welcome. A new face in chat. Always great to see new faces. Thanks for watching us over on YouTube. And it looks like paper has been the choice of Behance, and the poll has finished with 54%. It is rock. So guess what that means, y'all? Guess
paper
what that
takes
means.
Rock.
That's the wrong button. Where are our faces? Sorry. What that means is that we are going to go ahead and just transition something right here. And chat, it's going to look a little bit different here. There we go. Look at that.
That's a new site.
That's a new site right there.
Look at all those friendly people.
Look at all those friendly people. So congratulations to YouTube. You have won the rights to our chat on screen today. Thanks so much for joining us. YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, say hi. Don't worry, we're looking at both chats, but on the screen, YouTube won rock, paper, scissors. So you get to stay there.
Hey, speaking of chats,
yes,
throw in questions as we go, guys. We really want to, like, what we got is like great stuff to kind of go over and everything, but really your questions are probably the same as a lot of other people who might be watching this later or not questioning or putting in anything in chat. So let us know.
Really. Yep, absolutely. And chat, we're 5 minutes into the show and we haven't given you any content. So we're going to give you content, but we also want to talk about our Discord, discord.gg/ACC. We'll come back to that because some of you have been doing some really cool work over there. So we're going to show that off at the end of the show. If you stick around, we are going to show off your work. And hello to everyone in the YouTube chat. And Clever voted lizard. Sorry about that. All right, so let's hop into the freelance pivot. Nick, talk to us about freelance. Talk to us about how we get started. Talk to us about kind of the steps that we're going to go through during this podcast episode.
Yeah, there you go. And I think we'll obviously give you some of our experiences and tips throughout this conversation as well. It's such a hot topic. Go on LinkedIn and see what's happening kind of in our industry right now. And particularly here in LA, I think we're seeing a lot of it because of the entertainment strikes and things like that were happening. So we wanted to make this a worthwhile kind of conversation. If you're thinking about doing it, one, you're not alone. That's the first thing I tell anybody I hear that is going through this process of maybe looking for a job and like, what are you going to do in the in between, right? Or maybe you're just tired of working for somebody and it's time to do it for yourself, right? So growing the freelance workforce. This is an incredible stat. Over 1/3 of professionals have started freelancing in the last year. Woo! So you think about that, like in some way, shape, or form, you can start, you can kind of balance it. You can test the waters while maybe are at a job or, have you heard this too, bro? I'm hearing a lot of people, they're finding out their jobs have an end date. Like it's almost like 3 months down the road, there's a possibility that we might be laying out. Like they're being told in advance.
Yeah.
I know that's unfortunate news, but turn that into an incredible opportunity to say, have an overlap, right? Do a little freelance at the beginning.
Yep. Most of my freelance clients are either retainers or long-term contracts. And so I feel that I know I have a contract coming up in 2 months that's ending. And you got to figure it out. That's kind of how the world of freelance works is if you know, then you should prepare for that. I think that's a big thing that if you know something is coming, try to prepare as much as you can for that change so that it's not as shocking, so that you have like a little bit of a transition and not just a hard cut. I think a lot of people think about freelance as a hard like cut into freelance, but that's why we called it. Hold on. That's why we called it, chat, the freelance pivot and not the freelance jump, because it is just a small pivot and you do it slowly. And then once you are settled, you can do the freelance race, which we'll talk about in the second half of the show. So Nick, going back. So we're thinking of making the pivot. You're not alone. Tell us more about everybody's doing it. It's going to be fun. Just try it once. You won't get hooked.
There you go.
We're here to peer pressure you into getting freelance today.
Come on, guys. Come to the other side.
The cool kids are doing it.
All the cool kids are doing it.
Mom, pick me up. I'm scared.
In fact, even the cool kids that are non-freelancers right now are thinking about it. They're contemplating it.
It's true.
Everyone I know is getting the influence and it's like a bug, right? They're like, ooh, I want to try this out. I think that what this is telling us, guys, here's the good news. There's plenty of work out there. How you get it is kind of now the opportunity and the possibilities are kind of all over the place. It could be your full-time job. It could be your full-time job plus freelance. It could be freelance plus a contracted thing or whatever it might be, right? Yep. The visibility of this is huge. It is definitely increasing. And I think just marketing yourself the right way, finding those things, there's no one route to this thing. Everyone is going to be a little bit different.
If you're making money, then you're freelancing. We've talked about this a few times. And when I went full-time freelance, I had a time where I thought that the majority of my value was in the work that I was doing, the work that I was showing, and realized like I'm 30% work and 70% personality. And that's when I started doing Adobe Live. That's when I started doing education. That's when I started helping live streaming and trying to get that out there. And I thought that my freelance career was going to be very different. And a lot of it has become speaking at conferences, doing these live streams, and diverse paths. If there is money in it, if there is a job to do it. And if it works for you, great. It doesn't have to be what you imagine it to be. It can be a little bit of everything, which I think is the fun part about freelance is you get to make it whatever you want.
That's a great way to look at it. It is you build your own recipe for it, and you might surprise yourself at the thing that someone would pay you for.
Yes. Yes.
We're walking proof, guys.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk about
all those different ways.
Making things. Let's talk about making a plan, because I think it is important when you're about to make that freelance jump to make a plan. And chat, if you're watching this, feel free to screenshot the screen. We're not going to read all these word for word. You know that we like to talk and ramble. So feel free to take these away, the thoughts that we have, but we're going to talk through them and follow along if you want. Again, you can go do your dishes during this episode because we're podcasting it, baby.
Yeah, the sum of this entire page is the idea that it is so well known. It is happening. Many people are looking into this. They're already making the shift. So if there's this increasing amount, I think what I love about this is it's changed the dynamic, and it's changed maybe the perception of the freelancer. And that name, we've talked about this in the past. You could call it whatever you want, independent contractor, or just I'm a graphic designer, but I get hired per work, right? It's like whatever you want to call it. Companies are understanding the value of having flexibility as well. And it's not a full-time employer. It's not something that they have to pay for the medical and everything else for. And we'll chat about that later too. But there's so many different ways to do this. And what I love about it is, compared to the full-time gig that I worked for the other half of my career, that's obviously more secure and more structured. Totally, right?
Yep.
But this is so flexible, and so you're open to opportunities because it's ebbs and flows, and no one masters it in the first month. But once you go through it for a year or two, you're going to understand that you are in 100% control. And I think that is the best kind of goal to consider as you go through a lot of those rough kind of patches. You know what I mean?
Yep. So let's talk about the rough patches and kind of finding work. Nick, what is the weirdest job that you've taken on that is technically a part of your freelance career that you're I can't believe that paid money?
Oh gosh, I think I just told you about it. I've been doing these things where I was approached by a local elementary school to come and teach graphic design to K through 12, and specifically the fifth graders. And their budget blew my mind. I was like, this is crazy. This is it was a course that we did once a week for 4 weeks. And it was as elementary, no pun intended, as the subject matter was. It was one of the most difficult things I've ever done. And thank God it had some payment included with it, which was great. But how about you? Has there been anything totally surprising?
Yeah, I'm actually here. I'll pull it up and I'll show you. I had a company come to me who saw a case study that I did and was basically like, hey, we liked the way that you did your explanation of how you do logos. Can you help us fix our logo? And I was like, yes.
Wow.
And so I actually worked with them to not update their logo, but I literally just, here we go. I think this will show. Yeah. So I optimized their logo. And so we went in, and this was the job, was basically to, is this not looping? Is this looping?
Yeah, it just did.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. So the job was basically, can you fix our logo and make it so that it is correct? And all I did was I went in, I lined things up to grids, I made all the curves the same, the widths the same, and identified here are the issues you're having, and here is how we can fix them. And this was the job. No redesign, no new logo. It literally was just a technical consultation on their logo, and they rolled this out across the board. And so this is probably the weirdest thing that I'm like, that is the stuff that I love, is getting into specifics and systems. But it was weird for a freelancer to be like, I'm not making your logo, I'm just fixing it.
Your expertise is being brought in and being paid for. And I think too, sometimes it doesn't even involve actually any art at all. It could just be, help us with our brand positioning, help us with our style guide or whatever it might be.
Yep.
And they just want your input or insight based on maybe, like you said, something they saw. So
Yep. And I'm
I would,
consulting with a company right now, and I'm literally helping them like set up their file structure for using libraries. And like that's the job, is saying, hey, here's how you use libraries. Here's how you can use them in different programs. Here's how they integrate here. And that's the job. No design. It is just telling them, hey, here's how you can use this. Here's my knowledge and my perspective, and that will help your company. And that is a job that you get paid for, which is really cool.
That's fantastic.
So
love it.
Once we have that, once we are like getting started, we've got all of our pieces and our decisions made up. What do we need to do? What's the first step of Freelance?
Well, this is a perfect segue, because if you are building your portfolio to be found and to be looked at, very similar to Andrew's example there, if you're not putting the work and the achievements and these things out there that make you who you are, no one's going to find you. Like, obviously you can prospect and put the word out there and hopefully make a connection, but wouldn't it be great for someone to come knocking on your door because something you put out there? Just the fact that you share your stuff there as well. Do it on Instagram, do it on Behance, put on some of these things that you do. And these accomplishments, these showcases, and all these things are proving your worth in so many different ways. So you're going to obviously look at your achievements, get those, find the best of the best. If it ain't a hell yes, it's a hell no, right? It's that whole idea. Create a professional portfolio, do the best you can. There's so many incredible like options, and some of the stuff we've done in the past. Go to Office Hours seasons 1 through 3. And my gosh, it's all about the portfolio. And then use that to your advantage. Spread this out, get this out to your professional network. Put this stuff out there so people see it. Don't just let it live on the website anymore, right?
Yes.
There you go.
And when we're talking about crafting a good portfolio, again, I always use Nick's because it's really good. Like crafting a portfolio that looks like this, that tells a story, right? That has, we've talked and we've done, again, a bunch of episodes about portfolios and about case studies, but tell a story and feel professional. Don't just show off your work. Make sure that you are giving some insight, that you're showing process. All that stuff is so important to making your portfolio really stand out. And I'm actually going to circle back to this point when we start talking in a minute about how to kind of continue in freelance and stay in freelance once you're there. And so I'm saying, yes, season 1 was all about portfolios, throwback. And Nick, just because we're here and have a little break in time, we are currently, I don't know if you know this. Nick, do you know what's coming up here?
Another milestone, probably.
We are 2 months away from 3 years of office hours, 4 years of office hours.
4.
I think we're at 4. So chat, if you've been watching us, 4 years of office hours every Wednesday or Thursday, but sometimes Friday.
And under different names.
And different names. We had that
different
time
streaming services.
when we saw some other people. Yeah.
But we're here.
We're going to have a really great time for that. I'm going to try to get us in the studio so we can do a big birthday bash, try to do some giveaways. So April, at some point, office hours 4-year anniversary. Thank you to everyone who has watched with us the whole time. Let us know if you've been here since the beginning. All right. Yeah. So continuing on here, we have got our portfolio. It is in order. Good. And now we need to set up the essentials. What is essential for freelancing? This was, and somebody said it was a phase. Yes, anchor points. And you're a real one if you remember the phase of anchor points that lasted for like 6 episodes.
As proud as we are of it, and I still love the name. The name was great.
Anchor Points is a great show, but we might bring it back. We'll see what happens.
We brainstormed a lot on that one.
We did. All right, so let's set up the essentials. This is so important for freelancers. Yeah. If you are a freelancer, listen to the things that we have to say right now.
These aren't the
let's get the cut down for the short that happens here.
Okay.
If you're a freelancer getting started, here are the essentials that you need to get started in your freelance career.
Perfect. Guys, this isn't the fun stuff, but it is the necessities that we have to consider. And that is like, obviously preparing for financial changes and things that are going to happen. Like we talked about earlier, that little overlap, anything you can do to make the transition into freelance a more comfortable and a more secure time, definitely want to do it. And however you can do that, we understand sometimes that might not be your choice and it might be something quick that you have to pivot to. But if you can give it that overlap, awesome. The second thing is not the funnest, but you're already doing it. You're just doing it kind of automatically with a job, planning for your taxes. Now you have to do it
It's
more
about to
manually.
happen.
And I gotta say, as scary as it sounds and everything, having the visual of and having to see every cent in the tax world that you get to do as running your own business is, I think, a benefit in the long term, because you might not be doing this right now with a full-time job. It's just, you might even get money back, right? You put a little bit more in each week from your paycheck. Now you're paying a certain percentage, you're doing your write-offs and everything. But don't you think it's like, I know what my financial dashboard looks like at any given day, whereas before freelancing, I didn't, you know?
Here's my advice about freelancing: hire
Uh-oh.
people to do that.
Yeah.
I
Well, of course,
have
too. Yeah.
no idea how much my freelance business makes. I have no idea what I pay in taxes. One of my first things is I am very bad at business. I'm a very bad business person. But I know my strengths, and I knew that I could just increase my rates so that I could pay accountants to handle that for me. And so one of the first things I did was I got really good accountants. Solve, if you want to use them, tell them I sent you. Solve, really, really great people. And they manage all of my books. They manage my expenses. They track all that stuff. And they sent me like a bi-monthly report. And then they ship all my stuff to my tax person, and he does the taxes. And I say, looks good. And then I pay my taxes. And
There
so
you
if
go.
that is something that is stressful to you, pad your budget so that you can handle that. And the same with healthcare. Make sure that you're including in your rates that you will be paying healthcare, that you'll be paying benefits out of your pocket that you wouldn't have to at another job, right? Other
Yeah.
jobs, like submitting a W-4 if you have a job, is super easy to do your taxes with a W-4, right? Nick, how many 1099s do you have this year?
Well over 25.
Yep. I'm in the
Yeah.
same. I'm hovering around
Yeah.
30. And
Yeah.
so again, that saves you a bunch of time. So just understand that you are saving money by being in a house that is going into some of these benefits that you need to be saving being a freelancer to go into those same benefits. So
Or like you said too, pad for it. So it's
yes.
not extra out of your pocket to cover. Keep that in mind with your hourly, with your retainers, whatever you put together with a client. That'll make you feel 10 times more comfortable asking for that extra $4 an hour, let's say, from like 25 to 29 or to 30, because you've got to consider just that, your
Yep.
healthcare benefits, even, and don't forget 401k and retirement stuff that you want to put away as well. If it's not happening automatically in your job, you will blow it off immediately in your freelance world. So make sure that's a part of it too. That's got to be probably in 15, 20 to 30 years, that's going to be a huge issue, seeing people not having anything with the 401k. So
Yep.
make sure
And
that's there.
put aside a legal budget if you get sued. All right. So,
Oh, yeah. Did someone say that?
oh no, just it's just
That's just you. That's
just
just,
a thing.
that's just, no, where did that come from? Did I hear
Well,
that?
I don't know what happened. We'll tune in for the post show.
Yeah,
That you
right.
guys can never hear, but Nick and I have a little post
The
show
after
recap
hours.
that we do that you can never hear. I'm so sorry. Chat. At some point we'll do a live event and you'll get to see it.
There you
All
go.
right. So continuing on, once we have a portfolio, once we have set up our systems, once we are good to go with the technicalities of freelance, what do we need to do to get started to start getting clients?
Yeah. I think the thing is to look for these hurdles and these things that are going to be coming your way prior to them happening. You know, it's going to be a totally different animal working freelance than it is working for somebody else. And if you anticipate those things, I think it's a little bit easier. So talk to people who have done it before. Andrew and I can share a ton of great information on the things to start thinking about and looking for. Secondly, you want to stay open to any of these incredible opportunities. This is probably the biggest key for me. Was I did not realize how many opportunities never came my way, because everyone knew my answer was going to be no when
Yep.
I was full-time and traveling a lot. And it was like one of those things where it was all my eggs were in that one basket of the job I had. But now that it is this, the door, there's knocking on the door all the time. And so when you get to that point, you're like going, whoa, how is this happening? It's because you did all the homework, you put the word out there, and you got everybody kind of, excited about coming and work with you.
Yep. And Nick, back on kind of the random jobs that we got, one
Yeah.
of my first jobs when I was freelancing, I was making flyers for commercial real estate properties, and it paid so well. and they were
Wow.
super easy to work with, and they always had work for me. And so you never know where that work's going to come from. And when you're starting out and making that pivot into freelance, say yes to a lot of random stuff.
Totally.
Reach out to people. Again, real estate, really great. People that don't understand design, that need design and probably have money, that's what you go after. And Nick, where would you find those people?
LinkedIn?
Yes, LinkedIn. LinkedIn
Yeah.
is full of people with budgets who don't know what design is, who would be happy to give you money for your services. So,
And it's money from their companies, not from their
yes,
pocket.
it's not even real money. It's it's fake money.
It's like Monopoly.
But it turns into real money when it goes into your account. So yes, reach out, post on LinkedIn. It's a really great place to find clients when you're getting started in
And
freelance.
tell everyone. I think the best thing to do is put the message out there that you're open for business too. Your friends and family, don't write that off. They are your network too. And that's how I got my very first client, was from a friend who had a copy of my business card, the first one I made, and it said I did presentations on there. And he was at a block party and overheard someone say they needed help with presentations.
Is that all it said? Is just I do presentations?
Well, it was one of the things. Well, because that's when I left my job. I didn't feel like I wasn't really designing much. I was more in sales, and I was doing all the presentations that my team was designing. So I felt more comfortable in slide preparation and pitch decks. So I made sure to put it on there. And not only did that turn into the first client, but it was an 8-year, product launch with this company. And it probably, for the first 5 years, it was a good, almost over 50% of what I was making, all from a business card and my decision to put a bullet point on there. Crazy.
Magic.
Right.
All right. So speaking of business cards, get the word out. How do we start getting these clients? You tell them that you exist.
There's the answer, guys. That's
yes.
it.
And I'm actually going to talk about the opposite side of this. I think that this is the stage in your freelance career when you are just screaming into a crowded room. You're trying to get anything that you can at the beginning of your career, and you don't have to corner people or find the right niche. Literally just put stuff out there as much as possible, because it's the funnel, right? That freelance is a funnel. You start wide and then slowly kind of barge it down into where you want to go. But getting the word out is just throwing anything out into the funnel and hoping something sticks.
There you go. So you're sharing the journey. You're leveraging your entire network, and that includes the LinkedIn side, Instagram, maybe all your aunts and uncles on Facebook, because I think that's the only thing I still got left over there.
Yep.
And this idea that you're communicating your availability. It's not saying, I'm open for business, I need work. It's more of this, my circle knows, and they're going to be an advocate for you. And I love when a friend or family member who has nothing to do with the industry is my connection, hears from somebody else, because chances are you're probably the only one in that little circle that does this. That's an incredible leverage to definitely take advantage of.
Yep. And communicate availability. And I'll talk about this later on. Communicate availability. If you are established in freelance, we'll talk about this later, but if you're established, also communicate your availability to put some pressure. All right. So we do have something very special that I just saw, and that is going to be a question from the chat. So we're going to do a spotlight on the chat. Oh, I thought that just said spotlight. I was trying to repurpose it. We used to do a lot of segments when it was Anchor Points chat. And so I have all of these fun little I have so many fun transitions that we don't use anymore. So I was hoping that we could use the spotlight, but it says artist spotlight. But Andrea, hopefully you are an artist and you will be our artist spotlight, because your question is, would you guys suggest easing into freelance by going part-time if you currently have full-time work? Nick, you talk. I need water.
Oh, no. He's on mute. Yes. I believe we might have talked about this in the past, but yes, for you, I think it's the best thing to do. Again, having that overlap, doing something and easing into it. I think there's no fear involved, and it's not do or die at that point, right? You have a job, might be kind of fading out. Maybe your interest level is going out of it too. So pick up something on the side, because I feel like that's a great leverage into it, and it kind of just tests the waters a little bit. Don't you agree?
Yes, sorry. I was checking for questions in the Behance chat, and then I saw that it was on screen, and I forgot that they'd lost their privileges at the beginning of the show to be on screen. So I'm sorry. I apologize to the YouTube chat who won our rock paper scissors game at the beginning. But I did put the Behance chat, and I'm gonna put it back up for a second, just for a second, because we have another chat spotlight.
Yay.
I think that there actually is a sound effect. Chat, is there a sound effect that plays when I
Yeah,
hit that
I
button?
don't hear it. I thought you did. In the
Oh,
back.
I don't. No, I don't hear any of those. I think that there is one. Chat, let me know. But there is a great question from Paul Edwards. How do you approach a
Paul.
business
Yes.
and tell them that their work is crap?
That's the best. I love it, Paul.
Sorry, I got an upstairs neighbor, and it sounds like
geez.
they are.
I thought you were seeing ghosts or something. I was
No,
like,
it sounds like they're bowling. That's it. Okay. So
Yeah.
yes, Paul. Question: how do you approach a business and tell them that their work is crap? Nick, this is a great question, actually.
It's so good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Give us the answer.
Well, you never want to say anything like that. I think the best thing to do is, I've done this with local businesses, start chatting with maybe the owner inside, ask them, have they ever considered a refresh or something to do with their rebranding? And if they ask why, then you can tell them a little bit about, hey, well, maybe where your location is, that sign outside is just not, working well for the high traffic area you are. Come up with something that's like how you can improve it, not tearing what he or she has down at the moment, if that makes sense. So plussing it up, doing something. But I tell you, 9 times out of 10, when I've said that to them, they actually look at me and go like, yes, I've been thinking about that. Do you do that? And so in so many different ways, a true business owner they're going to have no problem saying, yeah, I have a weak brand or something right now. So be that person that can help save them. But you never want to tear down, because the one time you do, he's going to look right back at you and go like, I designed my logo.
Yep. And yeah, I do want to show what I did to that client that I just showed a second ago. Is when we started talking about helping out or consulting or any of that stuff, I did this. And so I went in and I showed them, hey, your logo has a really weird snap point in the official logo. There are uneven angles. There's not enough gap to prevent bleeds. There's inconsistent corners, inconsistent widths, and then got to go through and say, hey, here's how I fixed all of those problems: proper spacing, consistent angles, and got to outline the process. So this was a really good practice for them to be able to kind of refine, and for me to say, hey, it's not that your work is crap. It's that there are technical issues that I can help you fix. And then again, here, they didn't have any other logos. They just had the one. And so I was able to help them pull everything together. They already had the type. They didn't have a tagline, but they wanted to incorporate it. And so we were able to say, hey, you don't have these. Let me show you how these could be done. It's really useful for you to have a very small one, for you to have one that is horizontal, and got to play within their confines to say, hey, instead of you doing it, which has not worked out so well in the past, let me help you. Let me give you my expertise, and let me help you level this up so that we can kind of come to something that is a little bit more refined together, right? Never like, hey, your work sucks. It's like, hey, we could probably make this a little bit better. Let's do that together.
The worst thing they could say is like, my daughter did that. And then you're like, I messed up. I will never work with this person.
And then you say, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Your image that you showed is a perfect example of the proof is in the pudding, right? You're showing those little areas where it can be improved. And where
it's not opinions. It's purpose.
And sometimes those are I had to do something very similar to that kind of diagram you did today, showing a logo and the competitor of the brand and how similar their current logo is, because they didn't see it. They're not looking at it with the trained eye like we are. So like, if you can do what like Andrew just showed you there, that advantage is crystal clear.
Yep. I actually did that once to where it was on my side. I created a logo, and then the client was like, isn't this just like this other brand's logo, like on its side? And I was like, oh yeah, I did do that. I 100% just did
Amazing.
that. So once we get into freelance, once we've got clients, once we're going here, we need to hold our ground. Nick, how do we hold our ground as new freelancers specifically?
This is you standing up a little bit right now that you've been doing this and whatever. We don't want you guys to go into this and kind of, yes, you're going to be probably a novice. This is your first time. But if you go in with this confidence and this conviction that you're going to make the leap so much better because of your leadership and what you're staying true to. So This is you showing your principles, everything that you have learned, and making sure you're giving it to them as your expertise. That leadership, it's kind of you going, hey, this is me with my hand on the wheel and my foot on the gas. You can steer it any direction you want. You can speed things up. You can slow things down. It is really in your control. And the third point, we could probably talk a whole episode on this, is being ready to negotiate,
yes.
right? Equip yourself. Don't ever just drop a dollar amount for a project without breaking it down into every detail. Because guess what? If they do come back and say that's a little bit above our budget, what you can do now is edit that down, rather than, you never want to say, I'll give you a discount or I'll come down in my price. No, you come down in your scope of services and show them a better offering. That keeps you elevated, but it also shows that you're flexible, right? I think we've talked about that a lot. That is one of the best things you can do to stay relevant and to show your area of expertise. Because the minute you discount, I feel like that person's going to expect it from you for the rest of the relationship.
Yep.
You know?
And I always put that, we've talked about this, I always put that on my invoices. If I discount, I have a little byline in bright red that says, hey, this is this discount and you can't use this this shouldn't be used for future quotes or other projects. That it's like, hey, this is only for this project.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And on this last point, guys, it might sound a little bit like intimidating, but you're establishing these firm boundaries with anyone that you're working with, because you obviously don't want to be taken advantage of. But one of the things I would highly suggest, if you're ever in this kind of a situation, is to pause the conversation, say, let me get back to you. If you don't know what to say at that point, and reach out to a mentor, reach out to another designer that might have been in this situation before, because they'll help you soften that to the point where you don't want to come off and say it's like my way or the highway. It's not that. It's just being firm with the principles and the convictions that you have as a designer and why it'd be best for them. So always put a pause there. If you don't know the answer and it's your first time having that conversation with a client, ask for help.
Yes. Ask for help. And Colby just put up a great poll that we have on YouTube to hear from you all in the chat. I'm sorry, YouTube chat. I keep putting Behance up there. We are asking, what do you struggle with? What's hard for you, chat, to get working on as a freelancer, as an in-house person? Is it getting clients, asking for budgets, doing the work, or updating your portfolio? So our moderator, Cody, has put in the chat on Behance a link to that YouTube poll if you want to come over there. If you're on YouTube, hi, congratulations. You won the rights to the chat on the screen at the beginning of the show.
Yes.
So congratulations, you did it. Nick,
number one is updating the portfolio, huh?
Number one so far. There's still time to vote.
Good. All right.
We do have another question from the chat.
Let's go.
All right. So this question is from our friend Colby and saying, any advice for family and friends asking for quick edits since you're the go-to design person?
Quick edits on something that you didn't do previously?
Like, hey, can you do this quick little thing for me?
Yeah.
Like, hey, can you do this real quick? Can you just do a quick little edit?
Oh man.
Any advice?
That's a tough one. By the way, Colby, you're really putting yourself out there lately too. I see you popping up on LinkedIn a lot lately. So good for you, man.
Yep.
That's what would you say? Hey, what's up, Chris? I would say, there's no right or wrong answer to that. If it is like a direct family member and you've done maybe something for them in the past and you can just do it quickly and it helps them out, I love doing that sometimes.
Yes.
I do.
Moms
but if it's
always get yes.
If it's a longer kind of like it takes a few phone calls and a few back and forths, whatever, I literally just I do not have the bandwidth. And then I might even refer him. I'm lucky I can refer him to maybe a student or something.
Yep.
What about you?
I usually, if I know it's not going to take me too much time, I'll do it and do it while I'm watching Great British Baking Show or something. Those are the projects that I do when I'm like, all right, I'm not going to be doing anything and I'm not going to have to use my brain for this. If I'm ideating or thinking or having to use my brain at all, I'm like, no, I probably can't do that. I don't have time. But if it's just my hands, I'm like, yeah. Right. Because that there are these projects that you're like, I'm not thinking about this at all. It is muscle memory and my hands are just going and then they're it's done. And so those kind of things, I'm like, yeah, I can do that, whatever. Totally fine. So let's hop in and let's talk about what happens once you are a freelancer. How do you run the freelance race? What is that? And I tried to match these up with what they were on the beginning. So Nick, this is going to be some This is going to be some perspective. Sorry, y'all. I ran out of gas.
That was literally like a
I couldn't think of the word I wanted to say, and then I couldn't get it out once I thought of it. So these are matched up to what we saw earlier. So first we talked about finding your groove. So you need to find your groove. You need to maintain your convictions. Hold on. Is this the same slide? No, this is this. Okay. It's a different slide. It's a different slide. I just want to make sure. Okay. So maintain your conviction, which I think I kept in there because I think it is still important, like 6 or 11 years in, to figure out what is right for you and your business and the goals that you're trying to do. Second, you need to discover your audience. Once you are a little ways in and you are trying to run that freelance race, you need to figure out who's right for you, but also who's not right for you. You need to pass on clients when you can, but you need to take clients also when they are a good match. Lastly,
can I ask a question?
Yes.
Does that include becoming maybe like this specialist in something like, ooh, I'm in this industry.
Yes.
And I'm doing good here. I like this.
Say no to stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%. And then up your rates. Always up your rates until your clients say no. And then you know that they're high enough, and then you keep them there until somebody says yes. That is a good rule of thumb when it comes to freelance. And it looks like from the chat, our poll has ended and we have getting clients with 45%, updating portfolio with 36%, and then asking for budgets and doing the work is only 10%. So not a lot, but it is really important to get those clients. So thanks, chat. Thank you for being a friend. All right. So once we have maintained our groove, and thank you, chat says somebody get out and push. Thank you, chat. I need it today. Once we've done that, we talked about making a plan. We're 6 years in, we're 11 years in, we're making another plan. Don't get complacent. Always try to figure out what is next. Where do you want to go? What are the next steps down the road? And then make sure you leverage your community for that, right? Talk to people about where you want to go. Ask about if someone else is where you would like to end up. Get advice from them. What moves did they make? What mistakes did they make? Nick, do you do this with other people in the industry? Do you reach out and kind of talk and get insight and stuff about career?
Probably every day. That's probably the one thing I'm pretty consistent on. That's a great point you bring it up, dude, because it's like you can become very complacent in this. If things are going well and you are doing great and you're making the money you wanted and everything, you could take your eye off the fact that you can still grow and you can still make those moves. So I do, like, I reach out to almost everyone and have that like monthly call with, I have a good 8 or 9 other designer friends that, why not chat, talk about it. What have you done? Maybe I can help you. Maybe you can help me. Works out every time.
Yep. Yeah. So we have that. And now instead of building our portfolio, we are going to refine our portfolio. What time is it, chat? Okay, we have 10 minutes. Chat, you need to listen faster. Actually, maybe not. I don't know. Chat, if we have extra time at the end, we're just going to let you vote on what you want us to do, and we're going to get crazy. All right, so refine your portfolio. Curate your work. Once you have work up, curate your work. Take some of it down. Nick, I know that we both do portfolio reviews for students a lot. And my number one thing is I will go through they're like, oh, what do you think needs to be here? I will just scroll through the portfolio and just give them a yes or no. I'll just be like, no, yes, no. And I'm like, I know that you spent so much time working on that and you probably tried so hard and you're so proud of it. But I'm like, immediately, if you're at a point where you need to curate your work, you need to be able to say no to stuff and just like let it go forever. Some of my favorite work like is just nowhere because I'm like, I don't want to do any more of that, and I probably won't get hired for it.
And it's not going to do you any good.
Yeah,
it's like, and I think what my answers are usually, yes, keep. But if it's like a no, but it could be saved, if the project has enough in there that I feel like it's savable, I'll give them that. But then sometimes there are those ones where it's like, just go.
Chat.
It's got to go.
I have so much work that is sitting in a file because of this next point. You don't have to update your portfolio. I have probably 3 years of freelance work that I just haven't showed anyone because I can't take on more work right now. And I've been thankful to be busy for the last few years. And so I have a bunch of work. You don't need to show new work. You don't need to update your portfolio. If you don't need work, just save it. And then when you don't have work coming in, you can make it look like you're really busy and you have a lot of great work going out for a lot of great clients. Nobody needs to know when you did it. They just know that you did it, and you have that in your back pocket to be able to share. Nick, do you have any of those little secret projects? You're sharing pretty actively.
If I don't share, it means it has no value to who I'm looking to work with. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's very curated to specific industries and things I want to do. But I do find that if there is something that is kind of like gonna make a difference in like, oh wow, that's a unique kind of spin on I'm usually expecting this and this. I like to show the variety, and I want someone to look at it and be like, I can't believe this is the same studio doing these different works. That's usually like my goal with there. But yeah, it's been hard, but taking some stuff down is the best feeling in the world. You're like, done. It's over. Get it out.
Absolutely. And then you also need to show your process. Always show your process. Always try to sell the process and how you work. Sometimes it's more lucrative than actually selling what the work looks like, is selling how you think and how you approach different things and how you problem solve. That's really, really big benefit.
I'll fight you on that one.
What? Hold on. It's time for Counterpoints. Yes. Nick's camera's not hooked up to the scene. I know it's not. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Counterpoints, where it's just me and my perspectives. Nick,
you guys can't hear Nick?
Oopsies, technical difficulties. Nick, what is your take on that?
I'm starting to not, and I'm starting to show, I have a diagram that shows process, but not in the actual work or case study world anymore. I want to take them through that. I feel like that's the secret sauce, and it's like you got to be behind a paywall to get that these days. That's like, I know what you're saying too. I think a lot of times it's like, do you want to show a rough of a logo, maybe a first vector, and then the final? To me, that's risky because like I just want to show the final product at this point right now. Young students going for full-time work should show their process. It's like you can't show a math equation without all of the lines of kind of like figuring it out. But at a certain point, I want that to be like, that's the surprise when we sign the contract. You're going to find out.
Yeah. And I'm so sorry, chat. YouTube lost its YouTube privileges. So YouTube lost its on-screen privileges for a minute.
What happened?
We had a bad apple. No. There was a bad apple in the bunch, and sorry, YouTube. But Behance, come on over back to Behance, behance.net/Adobe Live. I am looking at both chats, but Behance has just taken back the chats. So
gotcha.
Congratulations, Behance. Welcome back to the on-screen chat.
They're the OGs.
The OGs. Thank you. We will have a competition each week, and it's fine. We know that people are going to troll in chat. It's fine. Boing. Somebody says boing. Is that the sound of chat coming back to Behance? Is boing? Love that. Bounce on over. All right. So continuing on, let's talk about setting up robust systems. I think this is really important once you are in freelance and once you have gotten going for a little bit, is figure out the robust systems, figure out what works for you. And if you do something once, if you do something more than once, what do we do?
Make a form, make a system.
Right. Make a form, make a system, make an action, automate it. If you're doing it a bunch of times, automate it, and then it will help and just speed up all your workflows.
Mm-hmm.
Also use libraries. I don't have much more to say about that. If you're not using libraries, use libraries because libraries are amazing.
Well, it's all under that same kind of umbrella of like, let technology do the work for you. There's so many different things that I'm using just in the last year that didn't even exist last year.
Yep.
And it's helping speed the process. It's making me look a lot more sharp. Yeah, come on. This is a no-brainer.
Come on. All right, and the last point that I have, hold on, let me make sure that's true. It's not. I have 3 more points. Chat, we don't have enough time. All right. Turn on opportunities. Find the right job and get the coin. If the budget's not there, then neither are you. If the client doesn't vibe with you, then don't. I very often use this phrase with clients, like in actual emails. I say, hey, what do I say? If my vibe is your jam, then let's do something together.
Okay.
I love that verbiage of saying like,
Yeah.
hey, if what I do is a good match with what you do, then let's do something together.
Okay.
And let's match up some budgets. And so I think that this is really important. Once you're in it kind of down the road, Nick, do you turn down jobs?
Yeah. All the time.
Yes. I thought there was going to be, I thought it was going to be more, but yeah, no, it is that. It's like, yeah, we turn down stuff all the time.
Well, once you do the first one, then you realize how easy it becomes, because that's part of your picking and choosing. You should have requirements and a checklist the same way they are if they're out there looking at 3 to 4 different designers to hire.
Yep.
So what's your top priority? Forget the project, the budget, and everything. What's your best requirement?
Yep.
With someone new.
Me?
Yeah.
Was that a question for me?
Yes, it was.
Sorry.
Yes,
Sometimes when you talk and you like are making a point, then I start reading chat, and then I come back and it ended with a question.
I think he asked a question.
It sounded like it was going to end with like a period, and then it ended with a question. And I was like, what was the question? What am I looking for in clients?
Other than the project, the budget, timing, and all that, what would be your number one requirement?
The amount of people involved. I want to talk to one, maybe 2 people. Yeah. I don't
want 1 point person.
Yes, I don't like projects that have a bunch of communication with different people. It just makes everything harder.
I agree.
And more complicated. All right. So lastly, when we're talking about kind of finding an audience and finding out, refining your brand, choose when to speak. I think this is a really big one. Choose when to speak. You want to curate how you're talking to your audience, and you want to make sure that you tell a good story, Andrew.
Oh,
make sure you tell a good story. This is, I think, Nick, we could fight on this. I think well-told stories are better than well-crafted work. I think that you can have work that looks really good, but if it doesn't have a story, then it's trash.
Try it. Yeah, I'm teaching that daily. That is 100% the truth, guys.
Yes, chat. Just for reference, the last time that I posted on social media was January 9th. The last time I posted on social media about a project that I wasn't like involved in, that I just like felt like I have something to say, was October 29th. So I choose very, very, very choosy about telling a good story, right? And the last time that I think that I told a good story was doing a recap of Lightbox Expo. And that was in October. So I choose my moments to speak because I don't have a lot to say on social media because I'm doing so much of it here. So choose your moments and choose the right moments, and then tell a good story. Really, really important.
I agree.
Okay. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Hold on. Somebody gave me a good one. Let me just do this. Let me do this. Let me do this. Go here and
tell a good story.
All right, cool. Thank you so much to chat. So happy.
That's my golden standard right there.
Love that. Proofread your work. Thank you so much for that option. And lastly, be flexible. Work for free. We talked about this. Work for free if you need to. Work within budgets if you need to. I have a project I'm meeting with later tomorrow. That is like, I do the branding for this kids' summer camp every summer, and it's sometimes fun. Sometimes it's a lot of work. Sometimes it's not super fun, but I love doing it. And it's really like, it always is worth it when I see the pictures of the kids with their little shirts on and they're like, like on a slide. I'm like, yeah, it's worth it. So do something for free. Why not? If you love it, make it free. And set clear boundaries of, if you are doing that free work, say, hey, here's like what we can't do here. And as always, remember, we get to do this. Like, we get to have fun. We get to freelance. We get to do creative work, whether you're in-house or not. We get to do this. It is a privilege for us to be able to do this, which is really cool. And hopefully you all have fun. And no, I'm not fixing the typo, chat.
I know. I love it.
Hey, I'm setting good boundaries.
You can't have everything. You can't have.
I said what I said.
I'm setting boundaries with my typo correction.
Yes. And we do have, that's right, another chat spotlight. How many jobs should you work at the same time?
It depends on the size of the jobs. If they're super huge, you have 3. If they're tiny, you have 10.
Yep. Nick, how many jobs do you have right now?
Probably about 11.
I'm probably close to 6 or 7 right now.
Yeah.
And I would like that to be like 3. I like to manage 3. Like anything more than 3, I'm stressed.
Yeah. And I'm onboarding like 2 more.
Pass.
So
Double
me
it and give
luck,
it to the next
everybody.
person. Before we leave today, I do want to show off some awesome work from the chat. And Nick, what is this from? What is chat doing here?
Look at our brand slam examples. You guys killed it.
Yeah, so this is a show that we do called Brand Slam, where we take two brands and we slam them together and change up their branding. Here we did Smokey and Tic Tac. Love this. This is Katarina. Awesome. We also did Vans and Animal Planet. Ooh,
Dang.
That's a fun brand slam.
And I never even considered the similarities in those logos. That's
I love the texture in here too. That's really fun. We also had Wacom and Samsung. Love it. Super fun.
That's more of a brand merger.
Brand merger. Yes, they were bought together.
Good job,
I
everybody.
think that was maybe it. Oh, here we go. Razer and Armani. Oh, I love this actually. That's like kind of that's dope. I love the pattern too.
Or the win. I love it.
Yep.
Oh, and right above
cool little shirt.
Yeah, right above it, they showed a really cool that one artist that's been doing a lot of those things.
Oh yes, this work is
really
awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
Yes.
Fun stuff.
So if you want to join us, we're doing a brand slam next week, I believe. And it's a little bit of a different brand slam. We are pitting Adobe Stock versus Adobe Firefly. So we'll be creating campaigns. I'll be using Adobe Stock. Nick will be using Adobe Firefly. And we will see which one prevails. Chat, guess what? You get to vote on the winner. So come back next week for another episode of Office Hours. Nick, what are we having people do this weekend? What's our advice for people getting out and getting creative?
Oh my God. By the way, watch the Print Design Summit. Tomorrow, I'm doing a talk on revolutionizing design. The link is in my bio in my Instagram, Longo Designs.
Yes, and I believe the link is also in the Discord in the Office Hours channel. You can get it there too.
Yeah. Join us there. Should be fun.
All right. Well, bye.
Later, guys.